So, morning, Zheng. Thank you for joining us.
Mhm.
So, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? So, things like where did you grow up? Do you have a family? What sort of work do you do? Those sorts of things. What brought you to Leicester?
Yeah, my name is Zheng Wang. I was born and bred in China, in a city with reference to Shanghai, 2 hours south of Shanghai.
Mhm.
But it's actually a very big city. It's actually one of the, I think, the largest seaport in the world in terms of annual turnover. It's quite a developed and busy and dynamic city. I was born and bred there. My dad still lived there, and as well as my sister. I spent many years there before I went to university in another city, also near Shanghai. I got my first degree and a PhD there, and then I moved to the UK in 2008, the year of Beijing Olympic. I still remember very vividly. Yes, the year of Olympic. I think that year Great Britain was number 4 in Olympics. Yeah. So I came to the UK in that year to study for my second PhD. I got my second PhD in 2012, and then I became a full-time academic. My first job was assistant professor in the University of Nottingham China campus, happened to be also in my hometown. Yeah, so I returned to China after my PhD in Nottingham for 1 year, and then some opportunity came up here in the UK in Hull. So I moved back to England to be a lecturer in Hull for 3 years, and then another opportunity came up in the DMU in Leicester. So I moved down to Leicester. Now Leicester is officially the city where I spend most of the time, apart from my hometown. Yeah, yeah. Since I went to university, so Leicester is a place I spend most of my time since I went to university. Yeah, lots of beautiful memories, stories here.
And do you have a family?
Yes, I'm married. Married to Sue, and also I have a 5-year-old daughter who goes to a local school, a foundation stage. So
Mhm.
3 of us in the UK, and the rest of our family, my family, and my wife's family, they are all in China.
Yeah, that must be hard.
Well, it is, but usually we go to China once a year or even more than that. I think the difficult time was during pandemic, so we were locked in the UK for about 3 years. March 2023 was the first time I went back to China, being locked out of China for 3 years. It's something that never happened in my life.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
And can you share the background to your disability?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm a bilateral arms amputee. I also lost a bigger toe on my right foot. The reason being that it was that I had an electrocution accident when I was 9. I was playing in my mom's factory. She's still working in the factory, and I came from school. It was still early, so I was asked to play around. And there happened to be a place where there's very dangerous high voltage transformer. The door was left open. There was a chair there. Anybody can get in. So as a 9-year-old boy, I don't know what that was. So I was curious. I went in. I somehow touched the equipment. I felt unconscious. And when I woke up, I don't know how long it was. When I woke up, both of my arms were burned. And there's a big hole on the my right shoe. And then I found out I was electrocuted. Yeah. So this is how the accident happened. I was ambulanced to the best hospital in Shanghai overnight. And doctor says there's nothing they could do except amputating both of my arms to stop further damage to my health. Yeah, that's how I lost both of my arms as well as my right toe
that
as a
must be
boy. Yeah.
very hard at 9 years old.
Oh yeah. Well, people say I was lucky because it's more than 10,000 volts, the electricity. In most cases, it could easily kill a person straight away. So I was lucky to be still alive. Now looking back, I think it must be God's plan for me to have this accident. Everything was like planned for me to have this accident and then have very unique, special, and a spectacular life. Yeah. So
Yeah, I've
yeah,
had.
I accept it. I think in some ways, it's given me a very special and interesting life to live.
And that's, I mean, one of the things that we're aware of in the work that we're doing at the moment is that for those who have a disability, often there are other abilities that they develop which might not have come if they hadn't had the disability that they either were born with or that came part way through life. So what extra things do you do now that you might never have done if you hadn't had the accident?
Well, I think that the most important is concentration, is focus. So when you have disability, that means you have lots of limitations. There are a lot of things you want to do, but you couldn't do. So you have fewer choices than other people. So you tend to think about more carefully what exactly is the best thing you can do in life, to build a career, to build a family, etc. So it gives you, I think, a special focus. So for me, my growing up in China, it's a very tough environment. When I had my accident, there was very, very little support in the society to disabled students. So my parents always told me that the only way for me to survive in a society like China is to be excellent academically, because otherwise you'll basically be forgotten by the society. There's no way you can survive. Probably one more option, the only option you have is to be a street artist, something like that. So my dad prepared me for two pathways. First, for me to learn to write Chinese calligraphy, a traditional art in China, using a brush in my mouth, because he saw some examples of severely disabled people doing such kind of street art to earn a living. The second is something he really wanted me to focus on, is to become academically excellent. So at least I can use my knowledge to change my life, to contribute to society. So I think this is most important. And he decided not to send me to a special needs school because he wanted me to feel that I'm no different from other children, rather than feel I'm different. I think he made the right decision. He hasn't got higher education, but he has, I think, looking back, he has the right vision for myself. I think this is the most important decision in my life. My dad set a very correct path for myself. And after I came back to school, I develop, I grow naturally as most other able-bodied friends. And I was able to develop my own interest in certain subjects very naturally. So eventually, in my high school, I decided that in the future, probably the best job for myself is to become a scholar, an academic. That was my dream. But I know it was tough, but I never gave up that dream. And this how, where I am in the moment.
So your role at the moment is as an associate professor?
Yeah, my current role is associate professor and a reader in economics in the Montfort University. Yeah, so the role involves teaching and doing research in economics, and also some admin responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And your new role that's coming up in the future?
Yeah, in middle of March, I'm joining University of Dundee in Scotland as a professor of international economics. And just yesterday, I attended an interview. They decided to give me another role, internal role, as a research lead of the economics department.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic, isn't it? That's
very heavy responsibility on my shoulder.
yes. Your dad, I mean, that's fulfilled his dream, hasn't it?
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I've been in this journey for a long time since I decided to become academic. Yeah, but now I'm being appointed to professor. I feel that even more things to do in the future. So a lot of
Yeah,
things to look forward to. I think it's never ended journey.
absolutely. So, I mean, clearly there've been lots of positives. There will have been things that were a bit more difficult to manage, where you've needed adaptations or you've needed reasonable adjustments at home. What have you had to do at home to make it possible for you?
Yeah, at home I had some adaptations. We don't have like a whole range of facilities, advanced facility. When I grew up in China, they didn't exist simply. So my dad was very creative. He was a carpenter. He was a decorator himself before his retirement. So he thought of some small things which can help make my life easier, like fitting a hook on the wall, which I still use today to help me with dressing trousers, and also adjusting like a doors or something like that to make it easier for me to use my shoulder to open the door very small adjustments. I don't have major adjustments at home. But in university, I have some small adjustments as well. For example, in my office, I needed to I need to have a fan in my office, because when I work, I'm often very tired and sweaty. I need to keep the fan on. I also have a USB fan. Sometimes I need to bring to my classroom. So I tell my students I'm probably the only lecturer in the UK who use a fan during winter. Yeah, with a USB fan, blowing air to my face, because otherwise I'll be very sweaty. I couldn't talk. And I've also got a platform underneath my desk, where I put my keyboard, because I use my left foot to enter text on the keyboard. So I need to a lower platform to put on my keyboard. And I also have, as you can see from the screen, I have a recliner chair there, because when I feel a lot of pain in my back, when I sit too long, I need to lie down and rest a little bit. And my office is also very close to the accessibility toilet. University was very considerate and also asked for that. So they put me in an office which is close to the disabled toilet. So this kind of arrangement makes things a lot easier for me. But other than these, yeah, in terms of workload, they made some reasonable adjustment to my teaching load. So I teach less than other colleagues, because I spend a lot more hours than my colleagues for each hour of teaching the classroom. So they take into account my disability, how it affects my work, into the workload modeling. So yeah, I'm very grateful for all the arrangements I have received from my university as well as from home.
And we live in a world where everybody's very dependent on phones. How do you manage a
Yeah.
phone?
I use a pen, this pen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this special pen, digitized pen, I can use this for smartphone. Before that, I used just a normal pen for my Nokia. I have a few pictures I can show you later on, how I actually do these things. I put them in a few PowerPoint slides.
Brilliant.
Yeah, maybe later on, or you can tell me when. Yeah.
And how about eating? Because that can't be easy, eating and drinking.
In here, I use my foot. I can use chopsticks. Yeah, with my toes and my spoon at home. But in the restaurant, it's not always easy. But also, I think it's not hygiene. So yeah, normally I only do this at home. I've been practicing this since I had my disability. Well, I remember the first time I tried to learn to use toes for eating. It was very difficult, because I need to put my left foot on the table. I couldn't bend. I spent a lot of time doing practice like a ballet dancer, standing there, bending every day to make my leg flexible, so that I can reach almost the level of my head.
You must have
Yes.
very flexible hips now.
Oh yes, very flexible. Yeah, because I'm doing it every day. Yeah, I'm doing it every day. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's really impressive. So have you ever felt that your career has been held back, or people have made misjudgments about you in your progress to where you are now?
A lot. I think that was the moment I almost gave up. That was when I was in China, because when I was studying school in China, my parents began to tell me how tough the society could be towards myself. At my time, when I was a schoolboy, there weren't many cases where disabled students were admitting to universities. So that means basically my academic journey could be stopped suddenly after I finished my high school. I was very prepared for that. And when I was very busy working on my university examinations, my dad sent my CV to many universities in China, asking them whether I could potentially be admitted if my score is high enough. And then he got no response or negative response from these universities. But he didn't tell me until after I finished my exam. He didn't want me given the pressure. But I was aware of this kind of difficulty, because even myself, I wrote a letter to the best university in China, when I was year 1 in Chinese high school, equivalent to the UK A level, because I want to find out whether my efforts would be worth it. If I work so hard and I get a very high score, eventually no university was going to admit me, then I need to come up with a plan B. So I want to find out. And they replied to me, and they said, I still remember the day I got a letter from that university. And my friend said, oh, you got an admission letter from university well in advance before the exam. Only I know what will happen, because I know I have a feeling that the response may not be very positive. When I went back home, I opened the letter. They said that thank you for writing letter to us, but okay, I know, and then there's a very official diplomatic comment saying that according to our university admission rule, for students without upper arms cannot be admitted to our programs. And that was my first year into the program, like equivalent to A-level program, preparing for university examination. So my heart was broken, but that night I also made a decision, forget about it, because things may change after 3 years. So I decided to tear them into pieces. I didn't tell my parents that I got this letter from the university. So I pretend as if nothing had happened. But the pressure was there. The pressure was there. After I passed the examination, my score was very high. I could have been admitted to one of the best schools in university in my region, but then they didn't want to accept me. My dad spent a lot of months, many months, visiting different departments, charities, government departments, university offices, etc. All he got was very negative response. It was in September, nearly September, almost the start of the term, that eventually he decided to visit the university 8th time. He had already visited university 7th time. He had to visit another time because another copy, the only copy left at home. So he decided to make another try. So he went straight to the vice chancellor's office, leaving my document to the vice chancellor's secretary. And as soon as he got back on the coach, returning home, I got a phone call. I was at home. I got a phone call from the vice chancellor's office saying that the vice chancellor had just came back from meeting. He saw your application document. He decided to accept you, admit you. Yeah, so my life was changed because of my dad's 8th visit to the university. He was so persistent. Without this 8th visit, even if we just visited 7th time, I would have been admitted. I don't know what my life would have been. So that completely changed my life. So after I was admitted to university, we made a promise to university. We won't ask for any additional assistance. We won't ask for any additional adjustment, because we were so afraid that, for any additional adjustment we ask, they may kick me out again. Because being admitted is already something that would happen in our wildest life, wildest dream. And this happens. We are very happy. So we don't want to give any burden to the university. So throughout this journey, I know that I have to be very, very much dependent. I cannot take any support for granted, because these support can go away anytime. And living in a society like China, there's always negative, discrimination here and there. Sometimes discrimination could be very institutional because there are no law there to protecting disabled people. Yeah, but I was happy to be admitted to university. I think it is already the best thing that could happen in my life at that time to myself. So the first year I was living with my mom. We lived in a rented room. And then the second year, because my mom was ill, this was also a time I decided to be even more independent. I moved into university to live with my classmates in the university dormitory. Very tough condition, but it's also given me opportunity to learn to be more independent. Yeah.
Yes, you've been hugely resilient, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we have to be there in China because given this kind of environment, I think the only way for you to survive and prosper is for you to develop independent skills without relying too much on people and based on assumption that you will get support from society.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So you said you'd got some slides to share with us.
Oh yeah, sure. Give me a sec. That was me.
Uh-huh.
I think that was me when I was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
Similar age to my daughter. Yeah, yeah, this was my parents' house at that time in the countryside. The house didn't exist anymore. It was a picture of myself before I lost my arms.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a picture of me learning to practice Chinese calligraphy using a Chinese brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't receive a very professional training because in the countryside of China at that time, there are not many professional artists. So I learned the art from a book as well as school teachers. So I practiced for many years. The idea was behind it was it's from my dad. He was wanting me to be a street artist in case I couldn't find any jobs. Yeah, but it becomes my I think becomes now becomes the one of my top hobbies in my spare time. Yeah, it's a beautiful world in Chinese calligraphy. You can see literature, poems, everything behind these characters. So I really love it. And this was me sitting in a classroom with my friends. I think that was the first year in my secondary school. They're all very good, friendly, and helpful. I couldn't recall any bullying. My dad was very worried about my life in the school because he worried that I could be bullied. He visited the school. The school teacher was so kind. So even before I joined the school, the teacher told every student, all the students in class, that a very specially gifted boy is coming to your class, and he may sometimes need support. You need to help him and treat him as an ordinary person, and ignore his disability. I'm sure he'll be part of your play groups. So I was treated very well. I was sitting with my friend there. It's a typical Chinese classroom. You have to be sitting there all day, every day. Yeah, it's very tough. But I got a lot of support from my classmates. They became my best friend in my life. This is how I do these things on a daily basis. This is my office. This is the office I'm sitting at the moment. This is my desk, my computer, and this is a USB fan. This is a big fan. I've got a platform here under the desk where I put my keyboard, and this is a close-up picture of that. A photographer in China took a picture of me. Yeah, typing. So yeah, the bigger toe on my right foot was also lost. So I basically use my left foot to enter text. I use my right foot to control the mouse. I need a lamp here to light up the space. Otherwise, it's too dark for me to see the keys. And this is how I put on my the bag in my office, and I use a pen. It's my old Nokia. I used this Nokia for 10 years before I switched to smartphone. I use a regular pen to key. In those times, to type text is very complicated. You only have these 9 keys, and you need to type Chinese characters. Yeah. Even looking back, I think I was amazed by myself because nowadays it's so easy, But at that time, I used these 9 keys to type Chinese characters, send it to my friends. Because some of my friends wasn't aware of my disability. When they realized I got disability, they couldn't believe how fast I could type and send a message to them. And these are how I do things at home. This is a university, the Nottingham University China campus staff flat. To get into the flat, you have to enter the main entrance first. There's a keypad here, so I use my left foot to key the passcode. And this is a door, a very heavy door on my flat. I use the keys, use my mouse to open the door with the keys. Yeah, but nowadays I think we have more options. We can change the door to a smart door, fingerprint or toe print, or voice or any other new technology. And this is how I brush my teeth in the morning.
You are very flexible, aren't you?
Well, yes, this is how I survive. I came to the UK by myself without any family around.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I have to be very independent, assuming that I couldn't get any help from anybody.
Mm. And it's worked for you, hasn't it? That drive has worked.
Yeah, it worked. To some extent, I'm very thankful that I grew up in China because the environment forced me to be independent, as independent as possible. And it was also teaching from my parents, things I had in my accident, that I have to be independent. There are no other choices because you cannot take anything you get from parents for granted, because they will get old one day. They may be too weak to support me, and I will have to step into society myself.
Mm. And do you have, with all that you've gone through, do you have any sort of life lessons that might be useful for those who are at the start of their lives?
Yeah, I think looking back, I think the most important lesson is that you need to have a dream, have a target in life, something you want to achieve. This kind of dream can be the most important thing that can drive you through all these challenges, difficulties. I have lots of difficult times in my life, apart from having difficulty getting to university, my relationships with my girlfriends. I can't tell you how many girlfriends I had.
Oh, do tell.
These relationships were very tough. It
Yeah.
was so hard to be accepted by their families, and I even received a death threat. So
Oh,
relationship broke because of family resistance,
I'm sorry.
and I had the moments when the close family members, two close family members, had a cancer at the same time in the UK, and at that time my daughter was just born. All these kind of
Mm,
difficult times, yeah, those were dark moments in my life. So without this dream, I think I couldn't imagine how I can get through life and work. I didn't take annual
mm,
leave even during these difficult times when two of my family members got cancer, because I know
mm,
there's something which can give me hope, something that can take my mind off of these difficulties. So have a dream. I think very important. Something you want to achieve in your life, whatever dream
mm,
that is, and don't give up easily. Don't give up easily, because
mm.
you do not know where your potential is. If you work very hard towards it, very likely you can achieve it. And also don't take external support for granted, because society can change, policy can change, government can change, ruling parties can change, and your parents, your family can get old or weak, or situation can change. So I think the only thing you can rely on is yourself. So only your own skills are yours. It's something that can be with your whole life. So to build
Mm.
up your skills, prepare for the worst, and work toward a dream. Yeah, that's the lessons I learned from my own journey. And also, I think it's very important these days to make most use of technology, and they are super helpful. I think with the advent of artificial intelligence, I think a more an accessible technology will be available to disabled people. I remember the first time we had iPad. Um, I was so excited because finally I was able to draw a diagram, to teach economics on my iPad and show them to students. Because writing on whiteboard is always a barrier to myself. Because
Mm.
the highlight marker is always too short for me. And also the position of the whiteboard is not always in the ideal position for myself. So with iPad, I can do whatever I want on iPad, write, draw, show anything I want to students. So this kind of technology make our life much easier, and the barriers are now much lower for disabled students to find jobs. Yeah, make most use of them. I think they will be super helpful.
How has your faith managed all of these things that you did you grow up with a Christian faith, or is that something that you've come
Yeah, well, this
to?
is something I developed when I was in my university. Well, in China is basically a religion-free society. There are some religions, but they are very confined to their own space. So I grew up in family without any religions. We have some Buddhist traditions, but just traditions, but not really religious. I came across Christianity when it was in my third year in my university. At that time, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it was a very dark moment for myself because I was very worried that I could lose my mom. My mom gave me so much support before I moved into university dormitory. So I began to explore the meaning of life, how exactly life was created, and what is the meaning of life. So I came across a book about Christianity. Well, in Chinese university library, you couldn't find any religious texts. There are no Bibles, no Quran. The only book I found is a Bible story. I think it's written for like history or sociology students. But from that book, you can see a big picture of a Bible, even though they are just a collection of stories. But you can build up a bigger picture about Christianity. So I decided to explore Christianity with communities outside the university. I joined a family fellowship. I attend a house group meeting, read the Bible, and discuss our thoughts about Christianity. Yeah, that's how I became a Christian in China. Yeah.
And have you ever been angry at God for the fact that you had the accident?
No. I wasn't angry about this. Well, there was a moment I had doubt about God though. When I had these very difficult moments in my life. Two close family members got cancer at the same time. I lost my mom, and all these kind of things made me wonder whether God was on my side, or whether there was a God at all. Yeah, sometimes I still have doubt these days. There was moments where I have doubt. I have to question myself and question the teaching of the Bible. But I think this is something that has been very important in my life. Because there are a lot of things we couldn't explain with science. There are a lot of things we cannot do with our human power. So even though people see me as a very strong person, with a very strong will, very strong determination, but I have to acknowledge, I have to confess that a lot of things I still cannot do. So in those areas, I think I have to rely on God to help me, to guide me through difficulties. And when these days, I feel the limitation of my physical strength. When I was younger, I used my determination to do a lot of things, even though even sometimes I feel very tired. I find some tasks very difficult. I can use my determination to do these kind of things, and after resting or sleeping for one night, I can get back my energy. But now I'm more than 40 years old, a middle-aged man now. So we need to realize, our energy level will decline over time. I feel more and more the case. So I think just to rely on our skills, there's some limit. I think we need an even bigger power, a bigger hand to guide us through the whole life. At difficult stages, you will face different kind of difficulty challenges, and some challenges you cannot predict. You do not know what's lying ahead of you. So it's only looking back, I found that it could be planned by God, but I don't know what's lying in the ahead of myself. So the only way, I think, is that we trust God. Eventually, my energy level will be lower. Imagine I'm now 70, 80 years old. Many of the things I do, you see in the picture, I probably wouldn't be able to do when I'm that old. So I don't know how I can cope at that time. But I trust God. There will be solutions.
And I think you're right that technology will have a big impact. I'm hoping that in my life. I'm hoping that when I'm in my 80s and 90s and I'm struggling, technology will be looking after me, really.
Well, yeah, somebody suggested I could learn to drive using my foot with some adaptability to the car, but I'm hoping that one day, you know, with this, you know, new technology, I could be able to drive even without using my foot. I'm waiting for a day to come.
Yeah, self-drive cars would be wonderful.
I'm a person who loves traveling. I think it's very, very important for me. I remember the moment I got disability travel pass from Nottingham City Council. Oh gosh, I was so excited. Nobody can understand my excitement. It gave me freedom, freedom of traveling. So for the first 2 months, I got my bus travel pass. I spent every evening, it was in summer, travel any bus near the university. Yeah, I just get on a random bus and go to the last stop. Yeah, it gave me freedom. I like a sense of freedom.
Yeah,
Because before that, in China there wasn't such a free bus pass for disabled people. It's unimaginable. So when I came to UK, I wasn't aware that there was such a bus pass because it never happened in my life. It's only after I went to university, I was there for 3 years. At some occasion, I think somebody told me that you could try applying for a disability bus pass from the local council. I looked into their website and got a letter from a GP, applied, and then I got the bus pass. Yeah, that's like my another pair of legs, giving me freedom to explore the world more freely without relying on other people.
You certainly see the world through a different lens, I think, because of everything you've gone through. And you've certainly, I mean, the level of skills you've developed is massive. You've done an incredible job.
Well, yeah, I have to admit that some of my skills are getting a bit rusty these days. Being a married man with lots of support from wife. Now moving to Dundee, I think my plan is to first move up there myself. So I need to brush up on my skills to live like a bachelor man again. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Don't say that too much.
Well, looking forward to brush up on my skills rather than living as a bachelor's man. Yeah.
No, you're a star. Thank you, Zheng.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris.
No, it's been really good, fascinating. Thanks so much.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.